me ask you something. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, why do I look older instead of better? Because here's the truth that no one really explains to us. It isn't your skin, and it probably isn't your products. More than likely, it's the technique that you're using. And the biggest mistake I see women over 50 using are makeup techniques that were made for 30-year-old skin. You know, the skin we used to have that didn't sag, didn't have lines and wrinkles. Those techniques need to change, just like our skin has changed. And I promise you, most of these fixes don't require you to go buy anything new. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Jody. I'm 55. Think of me as your midlife beauty bestie, where we are aging gracefully and feeling blessed about it, but we're not doing it without a few, tips and tricks along the way. Today, let's get into these makeup hacks because I think you're gonna really see a big impact from just making some small adjustments. And oftentimes, you guys, it's not about buying new products, it's about using the products that you have correctly and adjusting your makeup technique. So the first thing we want to talk about is prepping your skin, because this is an important step that I know many of us either skip altogether or rush through. One of the most important things we can do for our skin is to exfoliate. Now, whether you use a chemical exfoliant, something like an AHA, a BHA, or a glycolic peel, or a soft scrub, whichever one is right for you is right for you. You just don't want to double up and do both. I like these by Marie. These are just a glycolic peel. You can get them on Amazon. It's nothing fancy. It's just enough glycolic to go over your skin and get rid of any dead skin, because as we age, let's put that back in there, as we age, our skin does get more dry. Not everyone, of course, but after menopause and midlife, many of us start to experience more dry skin. And if you don't use some sort of an exfoliant, then what's happening is that dry skin is lifting around the outer edges until it flakes all the way off. Well, as it's lifting, you're putting foundation on your skin, blush, bronzer, concealer, contour, whatever products, and it's catching underneath that lip that's flaked up. That's what's giving you an uneven, peeled look to your face, to your makeup, not necessarily your face, but to your makeup. So you want to exfoliate, and you can do it in the evening or in the morning. I do it whenever I think about it, but I leave these on my makeup vanity to remind myself, oh, I haven't done that in a couple days. I try to do it about twice a week. Again, you can do it in the morning or in the evening. Then you're gonna wanna apply your sunscreen, a really important step, and then you're gonna wanna go in with a moisturizer. Now, whether you apply your sunscreen before or after your moisturizer is really a wide open debate. You can Google this, you can chat GPT it, you can ask your dermatologist, you can ask a makeup artist, and inevitably you will get different answers. What I have found the most consistent answer is that it depends on the formulation of your sunscreen. If you are a chemical sunscreen, it is recommended that you apply it before your moisturizer. If you wear a mineral sunscreen, it is recommended that you apply it after your moisturizer. Because the answers vary, I just recommend that you do your own research and find what's best for you. Regardless, you need a moisturizer because we want to give our skin a plump, hydrated look. That's going to allow our foundation to sit better, or whatever products we choose to use next. Use what products you have. I like the Niacindy Radiance Cream by Mimua. You can get this also on Amazon. I like the CeraVe Skin Renewing Night Cream. This just has little micro beads of hydration that lasts all day on my face. You don't see those little yellow dots, by the way. They pop on your skin. But I like this because it just takes the littlest amount and I can apply it all over. And you'll see how my skin will start to look more radiant just by adding this cream and allowing it to hydrate into my skin. It does contain niacinamide, which not everybody likes. I have loved this product for underneath my makeup. I feel like it has a little bit of a blurring effect. It doesn't market that it does, but I just feel like it just gives a soft blur to my skin. So now let's talk about the number one mistake women make when it comes to applying their makeup, and it is using the wrong amount of foundation. Now you notice I didn't say wrong formula, because many of us like a full coverage foundation. Just because you have more mature skin doesn't mean you can't wear a thicker foundation, a full coverage foundation. This is the Complexion Crush by Ulta Beauty. You guys know how much I love this. It is a thick foundation. Many people recommend that when you have more mature skin, you use more of a skin tint, skin serum, something like the Maybelline Super Stay Skin Tint. See how thin that is? Or the L'Oreal True Match Nude. Both of these are really nice sheer coverage foundations. I like a little bit more full coverage. One's touted as a serum, one is a skin tint. They're essentially the same thing. I did a face off between these two and they wore about the same as well. So if you're looking for a skin tint or skin serum, this one by L'Oreal True Match Nude has 1% hyaluronic acid. It's more hydrating. The Super Stay Skin Tint by Maybelline, also sheer coverage, wears as well, it's just not as hydrating. It's not drying, but it's not as hydrating as the L'Oreal. Again, I'll link those down below if you're looking for something more thin coverage. All right, so let's get into the foundation application. Now this is a full coverage foundation. It's also a soft matte. Those are two things that many people tell us that we should stay away from with more mature skin. I say you don't have to stay away from them, you just have to prep like we just did and then apply in the right way. Here's what I mean by that. Back in the day, I used to be able to use a wider foundation brush like this. This is the BK Beauty 101. Love this brush. However, I have had to downsize to the BK Beauty 115. You'll see the difference in size between those brushes because I was in the mindset that the larger the brush, and I was doing it subconsciously, I was adding more foundation to the back of my hand. It's sort of like the analogy, if you have a bigger fork, you're gonna scoop more food onto it. I felt like I was using more foundation than I needed to because I was using a bigger brush. So I just used, again, a smaller brush like this, work that foundation into the brush very, very thoroughly so that the application on my face is evenly distributed. So really working that foundation into the brush. And then I will apply it just by dotting it around the outer perimeter of my face. Now this is important, you guys, because many people on YouTube who are much younger will tell you to apply in the center of your face and work it out. Try that, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, I would recommend giving this a try. I like to start on the outer perimeter because that's where my skin is the smoothest and that's where I have the least movement, less wrinkles, less fine lines, less pores. So that's where I want to deposit the most amount of product and then work that product towards the center high movement areas of my face. You know, the areas that people are going to see when they come up to talk to you. They're not going to see the side of my face. They're going to see the front. So that's the area that I really want to perfect. And by applying your foundation on the outer perimeter and working it into these high movement areas, you're ensuring that you're getting the coverage that you want without adding too much product. So when I hear people say that more mature skin shouldn't use a full coverage foundation or shouldn't use a matte finish, I just get frustrated because we should be able to use whatever we want. We just have to know how to apply it. Now, I do agree with the school of thought that you don't want your overall look to be too matte. You can use a matte foundation. This is a soft matte, and we're gonna add a little bit of shine back to the face. So use the foundation formula that you like, just apply it this way, and I think you'll find that you have much better results. All right, let's pause here and go to another hack, and we'll come back to the face. So I learned this from Lisa D1 back in 2016, I think, and that is this frustrating part. As we've gotten older, I don't know if you guys are starting to feel a little bit more thin on the crown of your head, but I definitely am. And I notice that I really see it right through my part where I'm getting the most thin. So what I do is I take the Wow Root Cover Up. You can use any eyeshadow that you have. I just like this one because the formula is designed to stay on your hair to cover up the grays in between color treatments. And I also like it because of this brush. It's more dense on that side and then it's loose on that side. I just find a shade that is similar to my root. This is probably a taupe or a brown. I pick up the shadow on the looser side of the brush. And then I will go in and see what it looks like now. I will go in and just lightly put that shadow right on that crease. I feel like I'm whispering because this is a really good hack that I've now shared with all of you, and it works really well. Then what you're gonna wanna do is just softly feather that out so that if you're in the sun, you don't see a streak of where you put it, but cover any part of your scalp that is showing that you don't want to show. You can do this for special occasions. I do it almost every time when I film, and voila. It just makes your hair look instantly fuller. So now let's get back to makeup and let's talk about concealer. A common mistake is thinking that you can use a thick full coverage concealer to cover up some of your dark circles. Remember that 2 thin layers of product is always better on more mature skin than 1 thick layer of a concealer. So if you carry dark circles under your eyes or in the corner of your nose like I do, some days are worse than others, then you're gonna wanna start with a color corrector. I absolutely love this Refresh by RMS Beauty. I wear it in the shade Cherish. It covers up this inner corner of my eyes, you guys, so nicely. Just like foundation, apply it to the back of your hand first, and then I just go right in where I carry the discoloration on the bridge of my nose as well as underneath my eye a little bit. Really thin layers here. And what this does, it not only covers up or neutralizes the dark colors on your eye, the redness, any purple that you carry, some people carry more blue. It also allows you to wear a thicker concealer if you prefer. I prefer a full coverage concealer. Now the best thing about these hacks that I'm sharing with you is if they're gonna work with full coverage or thicker formulas, if you're somebody that wears thinner formulas, these hacks work even better with thin formulas because I'm sharing with you how to make them work with thick formulas. Thinner formulas just makes it that much easier. Didn't I just sound like I went on fast forward when I said that? I don't know what that was. So now that we have the color corrector where we want it, neutralizing any discoloration, I'm gonna go in with one of the thickest concealers on the market that I am absolutely loving, and that is the new Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Concealer. I just did a Friday face-off on this, you guys. I really like it, but it is a thick coverage concealer. You don't want to try to cover up the discoloration with a thick coverage concealer. Now let me pause there and say I absolutely hate the packaging on this concealer. There is something about the way the air pressure is put in this tube that every time you close it, you end up with extra product in a ring around here. And if you forget that and you throw this in your makeup drawer, you will only make that mistake once. I have done everything I can think of to make this not be the case, but it happens every time. I waste so much product and make the biggest mess. So I absolutely hate the packaging, but I do really love that product. This concealer is very similar to the Estee Lauder Double Wear. It is as thick and full coverage. It just has a little bit more flexibility in it. I've noticed with the Double Wear, I do really love it, but it's not my favorite anymore. This is my favorite for full coverage. I like the Revitalize Hydra Concealer for more medium coverage. That's by RMS. I'll link all these down below, but I like a more full coverage. What I have done is just pick this up. Oh, I was talking about the Estee Lauder. I just felt like that didn't move as much on my face. And by move, I don't mean slide. I meant that the formula isn't as flexible. The Charlotte Tilbury sort of moves with my expression area, but still leaves the coverage. I felt like that Double Wear covered, but sort of just sat there. And it looked a little odd as I was talking. And of course, when you're speaking, people are looking at this center part of your face. It just didn't move. It just kind of stayed there. So I like this one because of the flexibility. Now here's the hack. Let that concealer sit on the back of your hand, and then just like foundation application, really work it into your brush after it's set up for about 30 seconds. I'm using the Nikki LaRose N19. Absolutely love this brush. They're now available in singles. They weren't when they first came out. Love this brush. Now what I'm gonna do is, now that I've got that product evenly distributed in the brush, I'm gonna start with this outer corner. And remember, this is a full coverage concealer, but it doesn't wear like one when you apply it this way. And I'm going to cover that inner corner of the nose. Now, if you need to really get long wear out of these products, you could spray your brush with a setting spray before you apply that concealer, and that will help extend the wear of your products. See the even coverage that you get? Now, when you add a thicker concealer or too much concealer the wrong way, you will have a tendency to accentuate and emphasize lines, dryness, and creasing. That's not the case when you apply your concealer like this. If you guys take away anything from today's video, it would be apply any product to the back of your hand first with more mature skin. You'll really enjoy the way your makeup looks. I just keep a little package of handy wipes right here on my vanity. So as I'm doing my makeup, if I start to get too much on the back of my hand, I just quickly wipe it off and can keep going. Really easy application changes for your concealer. All right, next let's talk about the brows. One of the biggest mistakes I see women make over 50 with their brows is the the tone is too cool. So you want to have a little bit of warmth to your brows, and you don't want to go too dark or too heavy. We need our brows to look like brows. So I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills in Blonde. I used to wear taupe because it more closely matches my root color, but I have found that I like a heavier brow, and if I did a heavier brow with a darker color, it just looked too heavy. So you can create the brow that you like, just drop a shade lighter and make as big as brow as you want. Now the other application for brows that I've changed is starting with a pencil like this. This is the Anastasia Brow Wiz. Again, this is in Blonde. And I just create or frame out the brow that I want. And again, I need to bring my brows out a little bit because they have shortened. And so I just take this pencil and decide where my brow needs to start. Draw a straight line across the bottom, following my natural brow shape, which has a little bit of an arch in it, not like it used to. And then go down the bottom. Now, if you can have your brow go out instead of down, do that. It will certainly help give a little bit more lift to your face. I had my brows microbladed years ago, and I wish I hadn't, because as my forehead has sagged and I've lost collagen and everything tends to droop, the tail that used to go out now comes down, and I can't just wash it off because it's microbladed. So I wouldn't do that again. And it's one of those things that at the time seemed like a really good idea. So once you've got the outline across the bottom, grab a clear brow gel. There are many on the market. Drugstore options. e.l.f. has a good one. I think Maybelline even has one. Essence, I believe, has one. This is just Anastasia Beverly Hills because it's what I have. Use whatever clear brow gel you have, and you're going to use it on your brows before we apply the pencil. Then you're going to allow that to sit for just about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, until it's no longer tacky. Then you're going to go in with your brow pencil and just create individual brows going through where we just put that clear brow gel. What this does is it allows you to create individual hairlines without getting a solid, thick brow, right? So good. And you have a brow that looks like a brow and doesn't look too overdone. Now, as your midlife beauty bestie, this is probably a good place to remind you that you want to take a hard look in the mirror sometimes. And by hard, I mean it's just unflattering. Comb your brows straight up to see which ones have, taken flight up to the sky. And there are some days where I will see one that I did not notice was there yesterday, and I swear it's like a ½ inch long. So be sure to comb these straight up, trim them every once in a while, and you'll be glad that you did. And I'm reminded of that hack because I see one myself that needs to be trimmed. If you're not sure what shade to wear when it comes to your brows, then play around with some of the eyeshadows that you have and put on a powder eyeshadow in different shades. Maybe a shade warmer, maybe a shade lighter, and just play around with it until you find a shade that you like, that you feel looks complementary to your face, and then find an eyeshadow pencil that matches that shade, and you'll be happier with the overall look without spending a bunch of money finding pencils that you don't really love. Now, another hack I know many of you are familiar with is changing out your black eyeliner for more of a brown eyeliner. This is in the shade Whiskey by Urban Decay. It's their 24-hour. I really like that shade because it's just a little bit more warm than a black, but I still get the color payout of the intensity. Pro tip here is to stop wearing an eyeliner pencil directly under your lower lashes. If you need some color under your lower lashes, then take the eyeliner that you like, and again, we're gonna use this one, and grab a small brush. This is BK Beauty's 208. Any small brush that you have like this. Some of your eyebrow pencils might even have a brush like that on it. You just want something that has an angle but isn't super dense. You're gonna wanna get that eyeliner on that small brush, tap it out just so there's no clumps, and then lightly create that lower lash line with your brush instead of the pencil. What this does is allows you control to put it right where you want it. It also gives you the color payout that you want, but it doesn't deposit too much color and it doesn't create too harsh of a line. And then I like to just take my finger and smudge it. You can also use a smudging brush. Play around again with the brushes that you have. A nice round brush like this. You can go in and soften it and smudge it. But that gives you a softer look instead of me going in directly with my eyeliner and creating that line. Because as we've gotten older, we have more wrinkles all the way up to that lash line, and too harsh of a line can just look too harsh. Now you can do this and then go in and smudge it out. I just find that when you smudge it once it's on, you end up with a smudged eye look. And as we've gotten older, it smudging on the lower lashes just looks messy. It looks like we've had a bit of a hot flash and our makeup has ran down our under eye area. I like a more controlled, precise application with something like a small brush using that product if you have an eyeliner that you really like. As you're going to make these changes, you may forget and just go eyeliner to eye. No worries, pick up a small brush like this and just soften out that look until you can change the habit and do it in the reverse order. Now when it comes to applying eyeliner to the upper lids, that's when you can go straight in with your eye pencil. Just make sure it's a shade that you like. Get your eye a little bit straighter so that you can straighten out those wrinkles. Small strokes right at the lash line to complete the look that you want. I often get asked about mascara placement and if as you get older, should you apply mascara to the lower lashes? You guys, I've gone back and forth on this one. There are days where I feel like, first of all, there's no rules to that. Like there's no manual that says you should do it or you shouldn't do it. And there are days where I like that look and there are days where I don't. So just play around with it. And some makeup days, you may put all your makeup together and go, you know what? I want some lashes on my lower lash line. I don't see where it pulls down the face unless you have mascara that is transferring and then it starts to get too dark under here. Then it does feel as though you've pulled down the look of your eyes and aged yourself. But again, that is more of the makeup itself than the placement. So all of these tips today are more about the placement, the application, the technique than the products themselves. However, when it comes to mascara on the lower lashes, it really is important to make sure that you have a formula that does not transfer, because that to me is a worse look than having lashes on the bottom part. In fact, let's just do one side and then you can judge for yourself. Do you think that the mascara on the bottom of the lashes pulls down the look of the overall eye or not? I don't know. Some days I do it and some days I don't. It just depends on the day. And I do think that I have less and less lashes on my lower lash line than I have before. So for me, putting mascara on the lower lashes emphasizes the fewer lashes that I have, which is why I don't do it that often, because I just look at that and go, wow, I've got like 6. Feels like I used to have more. I have more than 6, but there are days where they're very spaced and gapped. So I find that adding mascara to them emphasizes how few I have, more so than pulling down the look of my eye. So there you go. You can judge for yourself. Do we like the mascara on the lower lashes? Let me know in the comments down below or not. Now I feel like I need to add them because otherwise it would look lopsided. The last makeup mistake I want to help you avoid is looking too dull. And if you wear a soft matte or matte foundation and you wear eyeshadows that don't have shimmer and you don't wear highlighter, then you might find that your face looks a little bit dull. So you want to look for a blush that has a little bit of a shimmer or glow to it. This is RMS, this is their Pomegranate Fizz. Whatever blush you have, you just want to make sure that if you are wearing more soft matte formulas everywhere else, that your blush has some glow to it. If it doesn't, pick up a highlighter, preferably liquid for our more mature skin. So no need to go buy something new. And if you don't have a liquid highlighter, check in your drawer and see if you have a cream eyeshadow that's very similar in these colors. Here's a couple cream eyeshadows that just happen to be here. These are by Jane Iredale. Those would work as highlighters as well. So again, if your blush doesn't have some glow to it, Then add a little bit of a cream highlighter. If you don't have cream highlighter, then look for some cream eyeshadows that mirror a highlighter shade. So last thing about blush is the placement. And you can go on any of your social media platforms and within 20 minutes see 3 women do it 3 different ways. And all look right. It just really comes down to the shape of your face. I'm not a big fan of putting blush in the apples of my cheeks anymore. I prefer to put the blush on, and this wears like a cream. That's why I love it. I typically would recommend that you wear a cream blush, but this wears like a cream. In fact, that new Morphe Glow Dots, I have that set aside because it's in, there it is. It's in one of my dupe videos. You guys, this has a little bit of a glow to it, and it's a very thin formula. This is a great dupe for, well, I'm doing a dupes video, but this is a good dupe for the Hourglass liquid blush. So this is a nice one because it has a little bit of glow on it. I'm just loving this pomegranate fizz lately. I'm applying it with the Nikki LaRose N20S. This is just a smaller version of her N20. And I'm going to start at the high point of my brow right here. Start there, go into this trough a little bit. I learned this from Glam Girl Gabby. Love this hack for our more mature face, for those of us that have this hollowness right through here. This blush placement nearly camouflages that hollowness, and then bring it up, and I like to carry it up to this hollowness on the temple area. Very soft swirls, can always go back in for more. But I just love this blush lately. It just feels like the nicest flush of color. I'm gonna add a little bit of lipstick just to finish the look. This lip liner is Spice by Jane Iredale and South Shore by Makeup by Mario. A few final pro tips to end today's video. The 5 most important rules for makeup over 50. Use less foundation, but use the application that works best for you. Prep your skin properly, powder strategically, use placement that lifts, and blend out more than you think you should. If this video helped you, tell me in the comments and let me know what mistake surprised you the most. Makeup over 50 isn't about looking younger, it's about looking the most confident, polished version of yourself. And if you want more makeup tips, how about one to target these jowls? I've got one for you right here. Be sure to check that one out, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos. I post 2 a week, and a lot of them are makeup comparisons, so you don't need to spend a ton of money. You just need to use the right applications and know what products to buy. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.